Alright guys, I finally got my turbo kit for the G35 350Z. Now, I'm going to try to do a quick rundown, basically everything I got. Let's do this real quick. This is the intercooler. Obviously it's all the turbo. Now it's not that big of an intercooler, but I think it'll be fine for what I'm looking for. Alright. Now it's supposed to be like a rev9 replica kit, and it pretty much, I mean, all the exhaust and like intercooler piping all pretty much looks the same as the rev9 kit. Maybe some slight adjustments, but not much. I guess I'll show you the intercooler piping. I have a couple of my other pipes kind of in here just because reference and such, but basically comes with like a cheaper aftermarket blow off and wastegate. They're both blue. They both say RS whatever type something. This one I'm going to modify because I don't like how this portion of the intercooler piping goes in between where the fan and the crank pulley is. It's supposed to be super close, so what I'm going to try to do is actually like keep it as straight as possible and then come down in the wheel well area, and I'll show you guys that obviously when I get to it. But I have to get a couple of extra pieces of piping, and I have to probably cut like right around here or there, and same thing, I have to cut like a little portion of that. So I'll have a couple scrap pieces I'll take off and then put it all together. Should have it like more like a, because that comes straight from the throttle body, so you know you want to have it not dip down. I want it to have it like come around. I'll explain that probably a little bit better later, but just kind of like roughed it up just to kind of give myself a reference of what I might need and everything. And then all the exhaust piping, most important parts, because you don't want any of these to leak and you don't want any issues. Now there's the wastegate. I have to figure out something about, so where this little portion in the middle meets, actually where it goes into like the dip of the, I don't even know what to call it, but basically the dip that it's supposed to go into needs to be opened up a little bit so that it actually could fit flush. I've seen that in another video. I'll put the reference of the video that I pretty much watched the install on multiple times. It's the most useful one. I think it was straight 6 or something like that. So, but yeah, basically one modification that you got to see that you might have to do if you buy this kit as well is in this wow, I'm having a brain fart trying to remember, but basically in this it needs to just be drilled out a little bit so it could fit in flush. And this is the major issue that comes with these kits. But I think even in the rev9 kit, because I've seen people buy the rev9 kit, and I'm gonna try to take a video of this just now, but basically where this, because this is all machined, you know, by a computer and everything, so I don't think anybody actually does the welds. I think all machines do all the welding and everything, which, don't get me wrong, the welds aren't that bad on most of the pieces. Like some of them they're like eh, but most of them are really good. The problem is where this meets this, the hole is really small, because the only portion that was machined was, you know, the inner diameter, I guess. But basically what's gonna happen is I'll probably have either me or my guy will end up cutting one of these sides, drill out the hole to make it, you know, so it doesn't cause a lot of back pressure, and then re-weld like a square back on or whatever, just to keep it all together. That, or might even just have my guy completely just cut this portion off and then just re-weld it up after, basically, which is basically the same scenario, just more welds, I think, in my opinion, because, and probably a little bit more difficult welds when it gets to like in that section. But at least we'll know 100% it won't cause a ton of back pressure. And basically this is going to be like the flex pipe where basically the one exhaust header pipe portion meets up on this side with a U, and then the other portion, let's see, I had it in here a second ago. I'm sure I still have it in here. Yeah, this portion. So this portion mats up with your passenger side exhaust manifold, meets up to one of these, either this one or that one. I'm pretty sure it's this one right here. And then that one makes a U with it could be possibly this one. Possibly could be this one, because this is the one that connects to the turbo. Or it could be this. I think it's this guy right here. This guy connects to the exhaust manifold, makes the U, and connects back to that little flex pipe that has the issue. So it's not that difficult putting this together. Obviously, you know, having space and everything is going to be, you know, a little bit of a hindrance because I'm sort of a big guy getting into the car. But as long as you get the car raised high enough, remove like all your front end bumper and everything, which I guess I'll give you a little bit of a showdown of what I really need to do on the car. But a few little pieces here and there, and that I'll need to get. Got the wastegate spring and such. Those, and that's another tough thing. If you have to change the springs, those are super hardcore. And then I have like all the oil line fittings, and I'm gonna do an interesting way of doing this as well. Some of you might disagree, some of you might agree. I'm gonna go to the car and show you what I want to talk about right now. All right, don't mind the gold, I didn't do that. Don't mind the dirtiness, I did do that. So I guess I'll start off with talking about how the pipes run a little bit. So obviously the exhaust, you're gonna have to disconnect your test pipes. Those will be your first thing on each side. You take those off. It's gonna meet up to your Y pipe and everything eventually anyways with the down pipe, which should be fine, or it might need to be slightly modified, but it's pretty simple. And then since I already have like an oil cooler, like a nice big oil cooler with the oil filter adapter and everything, that's actually where my oil return is gonna end up going, is to the oil filter adapter, which I'll end up showing you guys eventually. But not to like get too far ahead, what I was trying to say, let's start off basically the easiest thing to talk about, the intercooler piping that's going to be done basically last. But the one thing that I'll need to modify, and one other thing that I'll need to modify. So basically, you saw how the one pipe goes. It'll come out over here, and then normally that weird diagonal pipe that it has is supposed to go in between the fan and the crank. It just basically goes diagonal down that way to the other side and then loops around. Well, I don't want to do that. Two things. I don't want to change the fan. The stock fan actually is really good, and I have it wired. I have it hardwired to a switch, so it's actually a really good fan. And usually slim fans aren't the best. You know, you sometimes you'll have like slim fans work really good. You can get the Mishimoto ones, you get that with the radiator, and eventually when I do change out the radiator and such, I will probably upgrade the fans. But for right now, just to get everything started, to get everything going, I'm gonna keep it as is and just have the mass airflow portion of it come over here, keep it straight. Then I'm actually gonna have the intercooler piping, make that like 90. It's gonna hang atop basically of the radiator fan. So it's gonna basically just chill right here, go across, over, and then it'll go down. Now it looks like there's probably a lot of shit, but actually it's mainly the oil cooler lines and the power steering lines that are in the way. Everything else is kind of like, you know, small electrical things I can easily move out of the way, things of that nature. But basically the gist of it is intercooler piping is going to come around over all this, go down, like make a 90 down, and then it'll probably make another 90 out of here, and then come across, intercooler, bam, the other 90 for the coupler and everything. Turbo is going to be sitting right here. So basically you'll have intercooler piping come up, hit the turbo, which will be like situated in this area. I've already got it clocked and everything, and then from there you just have the downpipe. And let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, I can't really show you, maybe I can, but there is like an additional access port to the oil filter housing. I might be that one. I'm going to take it off. That's what I'm going to end up doing, is I'm going to end up, I have to do like an oil change and everything anyways. So taking off the filter, taking off the adapter, and then, you know, all the lines and everything, clean everything up, because I don't want it to be really crusty down here. I mean, it's going to be a little nasty, but I'll clean it up as much as possible with a pressure washer before putting all the new stuff on. And basically have the oil return line, and more than likely the feed line, because I think there's another port around here. I think there's 2 ports, one on this side and one on the other side. And I might even just get a T and just have them both go into the same port. And I've seen that on some stock applications where the oil filter housing is used not only as the oil cooler, but also as the oil feed and return lines for the turbo. And I think that's about it. All I could talk about outside right now. Basically all the stuff that I need to move, I'll move. The car's already up. I just have to jack it up higher when I want to take off the exhaust and everything. Intercooler piping, I have to figure out how it's going to sit right here, but I think I'm going to have it, you know, where the stock bash bar is. I'm going to have it like bolted into that stock bash bar, and it'll be basically sitting right in back of the bash bar. So if anything happens, bash bar gets hit before the intercooler gets hit, so we don't have any huge issues, even though the intercooler is not like a super expensive piece anyways. But yeah, so that's the gist of what you have to kind of do in the engine bay area and some modifications, and I'll obviously show you as I'm doing them. And then back over to this flex pipe. I gotta see if I could get the right angle, but you could see in that area that the hole is not big enough. See, there you go, that's a good view. It's probably, you know, 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch smaller than it needs to be. So that'll get, like I said, drilled out. Maybe you can see it better there too. That'll get drilled out a little bit. Look how they obviously try to do something or whatever with the machine, but yeah, so that portion will have to get fixed, which I have a guy who will fix it. You could probably take it to any exhaust shop and they could fix it, but since this was TIG welded, I want it to be re-TIG welded, you know, stainless steel. Usually you want a good TIG weld in your exhaust, especially when it comes to turbos. You don't want anything leaking, especially at the flex, where it has to give exhaust pressure to the turbo. You don't want any leaks there. That's like, you know, you could have some minor exhaust leaks after the turbo and everything. Those could be easily handled, but anything before the turbo becomes a bitch. So that is basically it. The gist of it is some modifications need to be done to where the wastegate goes, where the 2 pipes are supposed to connect to the turbo slash both manifolds, modification to like your MAF piping and intercooler piping, and then just like, you know, bracketing the intercooler to the like the bash bar and such. And then, like I said, I already had to clock the turbo, which isn't hard. You know, you just remove the bolts holding the casing of the turbo in, and then you just turn it. But basically, yeah, you guys saw the gist. It's gonna sit right at that spot I kind of showed you in the other video. Intercooler pipe is gonna go down this way, make that, you know, that 90, then the other 90, and pretty much it. This connects to like the exhaust, I don't even want to know what I can call it, but basically where the manifold meets to the turbo and then the downpipe connects out, which is really cool because it does give you like a fat like huge downpipe exhaust. You start off with like the normal small guy, the pipe that connects to the turbo right here. Then you start out with a small guy. You gotta do that small guy. You know, you start out with this guy. That's downpipe, J pipe, whatever you want to call it. And you got this big ass. I can't even get the whole thing because it's so large. But basically, that connects to the rest of your exhaust and whatever modifications you have to do afterward. Because, yeah, you do have like a Y pipe, but you know, in the chance of you not needing that Y pipe anymore because you're boosted, you have a single turbo instead of a twin turbo. You just run that nice piece all the way back to where your, because I have a single exit anyways, where your single exit goes. We'll see, you know, for whatever modifications that has to be done in an exhaust shop, we'll bring it to somebody I know. And that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else, the other couple little things that you're going to need more intercooler piping, obviously, to make that, like that above section. Might even modify the downpipe a little bit, depending on how everything goes when I get it on. Because I've heard that's kind of had some issues. The flex pipe intercooler bracket, because it doesn't come with one. The oil lines, which this kit comes with it. A bunch of adapters and such, and a bunch of gaskets and everything that you got to figure out what goes to what, because there is no instruction manual. The closest thing to an instruction manual will be you using like the rev9 instruction manual, because it's basically the same kit. There's only, you know, the wastegate and the, what do you call it, are different, and that's it. Maybe the intercooler is slightly different, but everything is literally designed the same to the T. And I got this kit on Alibaba for like $700. Shipping is about $300. I think I got a deal on it. It was like Black Friday or whatever, so I ended up getting pretty good, decent discount on everything. And can't front for $1,000, even if it's like you don't got the discount, for $1,000, the full kit, minus like, say, if you need it but you really don't, boost controller, because you could just have it controlled by wastegate, boost gauge. I already have an AFR gauge because this car was previously on nitrous, so AFR gauge. Like most people upgrade the MAF. There's actually another company, I'll probably put it in when I do another video, that has like a MAF extender. But these MAFs that I already have, I mean, I'm assuming because this one was meant to handle nitrous, so that's technically boost. This MAF actually is rated for boost, so I might not even have to change it. But we'll see. The adapter piece I was seeing that's like an extender or whatever, it was like $100, so it's not that big of a deal. So those are kind of like the, you know, 3-4 things that you might need additional, plus fueling. Fueling obviously does not come with this kit. I don't believe it comes with any of the budget turbo kits or anything, but basically you need your injectors. I'm going for 1,000 cc's. That's perfect for what I'm looking at. And then because I'm going to be on the 88.5, I'm going to be chilling at about 5 psi. And then a fuel pump. That's it. And those are two really easy upgrades that you can actually do after, like, you know, you install all this, get it all on, get it in place, you already know what you need. Then doing the injectors, doing the fuel pump, those can be done after, or it can be done before, whichever you prefer. For me, it's going to be done after. I'd rather get the whole kit set up, know if I have to make any modifications to the kit before I even start the car, finish up, get the car, like, basically, you know, the fuel system ready to go, get it started, prove that it works, then tune it. because you don't want to go tuning and you have an exhaust leak, or you have some type of intercooler intake piping or anything like that leak, fuel leaks, anything like that. That's why you want to kind of like take extra, I guess, steps into how long it's going to take. Some people want to get this done quick. Me, I'm not in a rush, to be honest. I mean, there's not like the car's going anywhere. And it's not like I'm in a rush to do anything. I don't have like some crazy YouTube channel or anything like that. Just having fun. And get to make spit-a-doo noise, right? And then obviously, like I was saying earlier, you're going to bracket the intercooler onto this bash bar. I'll show all that when I get to it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the kind of like box opening of the turbo kit. I already opened it, already pieced some things together. That way I can give you more knowledge on, you know, what you might need to do for this kit, modifications wise. So all in all, kit being like around 1,000, then say 500 plus for you know, all the additional, you know, whatevers, maybe more, and then another 500 plus for tuning. And I'll let you guys know exactly who I'm going to be going through. I've already got like you know, my tuner that I'm going to be going through. He's in the Tampa Bay area, which isn't too far. He comes down to Miami, so I might get lucky, be able to get, you know, tuned in Miami, just have the vehicle brought to him or whatever, and let it, you know, get tuned there. Or do like an e-tune where I just send him my files back and forth, and we do some street pools, and I send it back to him, and he brings it back, and basically, you know, from the computer saying it runs good, we'll know it's decent without having any actual numbers. But I think I want to have numbers, though I'm not aiming for high numbers, but having 100 horsepower from where it was stock would be perfect. I mean, having 350 to, you know, anything under basically 4 would be fine. At 5 psi, I'd be happy with that all day. Alright guys, so I think I went a little extended on this video. Hope you enjoy, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next few weeks. Have a good one. Bye.